So winter is right around the corner, and like always, everyone's wondering what's in store. This year, there's a lot of buzz about La Niña. It's like everyone's heard the name, but no one really knows what it means for our winter weather.
It's true. La Niña gets a lot of attention, and understanding its influence can be incredibly valuable for anticipating large-scale weather patterns.
Okay, so let's break it down. For those of us who haven't been following every weather report, what exactly is La Niña? What makes it different from, say, just a regular old ocean current?
Well, La Niña is all about temperature. Essentially, it's a cooling of those surface waters in the central and eastern tropical Pacific Ocean. And even though it might seem far away, this change in the Pacific can have a ripple effect on weather patterns across the globe.
So something happens way over in the Pacific, and suddenly we're trading our winter coats for umbrellas. How does that even work?
You got it. It's all interconnected. Those cooler waters in the Pacific can actually shift the jet stream, that river of air that steers storms across the globe, northward.
So picture the jet stream like a highway in the sky, and La Niña is like a detour sign, sending those weather systems on a different route.
Precisely. And depending on where you live, that can mean a very different experience in terms of temperatures, precipitation, the whole nine yards.
Okay, so we've got our cool pool of water in the Pacific, setting the stage for this La Niña winter. But the big question is, how strong of a La Niña are we actually expecting this year? Is it going to be the main event, or more of a subtle influence?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And this year, the forecasts are suggesting it might be a bit more of a mystery guest.
A mystery guest, huh? Intriguing. So not exactly a time to panic and stock up on bread and milk just yet.
Probably not. But even a weaker La Niña can still have an impact on those weather patterns. It's all about understanding the trends, the probabilities, rather than expecting any kind of precise predictions.
All right, so let's dive into those trends. When La Niña does show up, even if it's trying to be subtle, what does that typically mean for, say, the U.S.? Should we be dusting off the snow boots, investing in a good umbrella, or bracing for something totally unexpected?
You know, it's helpful to think of it like this. If the jet stream is that highway in the sky, La Niña can act like a detour, steering those big weather systems on a more northerly route.
Okay, so picture the jet stream with a new GPS route, taking a detour up north. Got it.
Exactly. And that can mean big changes for people living in those regions, especially when it comes to what kind of winter weather they're going to see.
So let's get specific. What can people expect, say, in the Pacific Northwest? I know folks up there who live for those legendary snow days.
Yeah, well, for your friends in the Pacific Northwest, this La Niña could be good news for their snow dances. Remember that La Niña winter back in 2010, 2011? Some areas got hit with record snowfalls.
Record snowfall. Wow, that's saying something. But we've mentioned that this year's La Niña might be a bit weaker. Does that change the outlook at all?
Yeah, it might mean the snow totals aren't quite as dramatic, but there's still a good chance of above average precipitation overall. Of course, temperatures always play a role too. We need that perfect recipe of cold air and moisture for those truly epic snowstorms.
So, Pacific Northwest, potentially epic, but keep an eye on the thermometer. What about the rest of the northern U.S.? Are we talking snowmageddon across the board?
Snowmageddon might be a bit of an overstatement, but the northern U.S., especially the Midwest, could definitely see a wetter-than-average winter overall.
Okay, wetter, sure. But is that rain or snow? That's the big question, right?
Yeah, you said it. It all comes down to those fine margins between a glorious powder day and a soggy, slushy mess. But hey, on the bright side, at least it would be good news for those drought-stricken areas we've been seeing.
That's a good point. A little extra moisture can go a long way. Okay, so the north is potentially in for a wet one, but what about my friends down south? Are they off the hook for winter weather shenanigans?
Not so fast. While La Niña tends to bring wetter conditions up north, it often means drier and warmer winters for the southern U.S.
So good news for people who love soaking up the sun, but maybe not so great for farmers who are already worried about drought.
You got it. Take the Southeast, for example. They really rely on those winter rains to replenish water supplies, keep those crops healthy. A drier-than-average winter could make those drought conditions even worse in some areas.
It's a good reminder that La Niña's effects can be a real mixed bag, impacting different regions in very different ways.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the overall amount of precipitation either. The timing and intensity of those storms matters too. A few heavy downpours don't have the same effect as consistent rainfall throughout the season.
Okay, so we've covered the north and the south, but what about those folks caught in between? What's in store for the northeast this La Niña winter? Will they finally get that postcard-perfect, snow-covered holiday season they've been dreaming of?
The Northeast is interesting when it comes to La Nina. It's one of those regions where the impact can be a bit harder to pin down.
So kind of a wild card then.
Exactly. It's like that friend who always keeps you guessing. You never know what they're going to do next.
All right, so mystery and intrigue in the Northeast. But I gotta ask, any chance this could be the year they finally get those epic snowstorms, those picture-perfect winter wonderlands?
Well, a weaker La Nina could actually increase their chances of seeing some decent snowfall.
Right.
Remember how we talked about the jet stream shifting northward? Well, that can sometimes make it easier for those classic nor'easters to develop, those powerful storms that just dump snow along the East Coast.
Okay, so there's hope for those dreaming of a white Christmas in the city. But what if it's just too warm? All that snow turns into a slushy, icy mess pretty quickly.
That's always the big if, isn't it? It all comes down to that delicate balance between cold air and precipitation. If the Northeast sees warmer than average temperatures this winter, those snowstorms could easily turn into rain events, and that wouldn't be great for building up a good snowpack.
So the Northeast remains a wild card, as always. I guess that's just part of what makes winter so unpredictable, right?
Absolutely. It keeps things interesting. And it reminds us that even though La Nina can give us some clues about the overall weather patterns we might see, it's just one piece of a very complex puzzle.
Right. It's not like we can just look at one factor and know exactly what to expect. So as we head into this La Nina winter, what's the most important thing you want our listeners to keep in mind?
I'd say don't get too caught up in the headlines about La Nina. Stay informed, check those local weather forecasts regularly, and be prepared for anything Mother Nature might throw your way.
Words to live by. Mother Nature definitely keeps us on our toes. Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive into La Nina and all its potential impacts this winter. It sounds like we're in for a wild ride with a little something for everyone, depending on where you are. Thanks for breaking it all down for us.
My pleasure. Always happy to talk about the weather.
And listeners, be sure to join us next time as we take another deep dive into a topic that's got you curious about the world around us. Until then, stay curious and stay informed.